Aloha, this is Anna Surfing. Welcome to Beach Broadcast. Today is Saturday, October 11th, 2025. Oh, yeah. I had another technical issue. So my account on for hosting on my website, I use Wix. I know, not the best, but it works for me. They deactivated my account, and I had to go ahead and do a little fixing. Hosting company deactivated it, so that's why I couldn't do a podcast. But if it's anybody that's been kind of doing things on the background, I want to say thank you, because I uncovered something very, very big, which I probably won't share until, I don't know, next week. But God closes some doors, but He opened up another door. So thank you. But this is all God's will. So I'm going to go ahead and do the podcast I had written, I had tried to write yesterday, and then I'm going to do another podcast also, so that you'll have it out by either later today or on Sunday. So I'll do the best I can to record. Hopefully I don't get any bleeps on it. But that would be number 50 on being censored, heavily nuked, deactivated. This doesn't include the throttling that I get every day. But so 50. Methinks there's going to be a lot of very powerful news coming out. So the varmints are going to be coming out in droves, just to get ourselves ready, guys, and get your memes ready too. But this podcast that I had for yesterday, 10/10/2025, Trump's global powers and Melania's royal power. She came out and made a less than 6-minute announcement, and it was very powerful. I will share that with you on this podcast. So if I scroll down here, Melania, she gave a very brief yet powerful speech. Let me go ahead and play this for you. It's very to the point, and oh my gosh.
Good morning. A child's soul knows no borders, no flags. We must foster a future for our children which is rich with potential, security, and complete with free will. A world where dreams will be realized rather than faded by war. Much has unfolded since President Putin received my letter last August. He responded in writing, signaling a willingness to engage with me directly and outlining details regarding the Ukrainian children residing in Russia. And since then, President Putin and I have had an open channel of communication regarding the welfare of these children. For the past 3 months, both sides have participated in several back-channel meetings and calls, all in good faith. We have agreed to cooperate with each other for the benefit of all people involved in this war. My representative has been working directly with President Putin's team to ensure the safe reunification of children with their families between Russia and Ukraine. In fact, 8 children have been rejoined with their families during the past 24 hours. Each child has lived in turmoil because of the war in Ukraine. 3 were separated from their parents and displaced to the Russian Federation because of frontline fighting. The other 5 were separated from family members across borders because of the conflict, including one young girl who has now been reunited from Ukraine to Russia. I have learned a lot about this matter during the past 3 months. Russia has demonstrated a willingness to disclose objective and detailed information reflective for the current situation. The Russian Federation provided biographies and photographs of each child involved in this week's reunification, along with an overview of the social medical, and psychological services afforded to the Ukrainian children. Further, I was provided a detailed report which verified the identities and circumstances of these 8 individuals. The US government confirmed the facts contained within this document are accurate. It is important to note the original verification report was jointly prepared by the Commissioner of the Verkhovna Rada of Ukraine for Human Rights and Office of the Russian Presidential Commissioner for Children's Rights. As First Lady, this is an important initiative for me. It is built on shared purpose and lasting impact. My ongoing mission is twofold: to optimize and a transparent, free-flow exchange of health-related information surrounding all children who have fell victim to this war, and to facilitate the regular reunification of children with their families until each individual returns home. Additionally, I have raised concerns regarding those who were minors at the time they were displaced by the war, but have since reached adulthood and currently reside in Russia. Given the dangers of traversing this war-torn region, their safe return requires coordinated assistance. Accordingly, Russia has agreed to rejoin the individuals who have turned 18 within a short period of time. Again, this remains an ongoing effort. Plans are already underway to reunify more children in the immediate future. I hope peace will come soon. It can begin with our children. Thank you.
Madam First Lady, are you speaking with President Putin? Madam First Lady, will you be joining the President in the Middle East?
What a very powerful speech. She didn't take any questions from the media that's been always protecting the cabal and the deep state and those that have committed crimes against humanity. President Trump, his main mission was to save the children, save the children. You were a big part of this as well by putting out the truth and sharing a lot of information over the years that it led to the point where Melania gave that kind of powerful speech. Now, Minnie, I'll get into the reaction from the media on this, but there's a few things that she had brought up. She had talked about that she was provided information and photographs from Russia, detailed information. She had talked about the reports and the quote-unquote circumstances that the children went through. She talked about human rights and children's rights, and that she would optimize a free flow of exchange so that all the children are safe. She talked about the minors that had reached adulthood. Now, Russia agreed to return the individuals. There are plans underway, and she prays for peace. The children became a unfortunate commodity for the cabal, and this is actually a meme that was given to me by this account here. It is Hodler. Here we go. I want to thank you very much for sharing this meme, because it's very powerful, because this is what you, President Trump, Melania Trump, have been fighting for. Now, Melania's mission has always been about the children. So now let's take it a step further. So the message was actually very clear that she has dominant power in Russia, or with the Russian government, to coordinate with President Putin to rescue children in Ukraine. Now, she did reference her letter, but her message was geared towards the human trafficking. And she was, in my humble opinion, she was letting the world know that their days are over. She made it very clear that she is more than the First Lady, that she is, I will say this, and again, you decide. She is royalty. She has that much power. And in my opinion, she told the world two things. Don't mess with the children. And she has tremendous power with Putin to make bold, strong moves to fight for the children that didn't have a voice. Those that turned to be adults, can you imagine what they're sharing? And she made it very clear that the information that she received has been verified. Her letter to President Putin was this. It was when President Trump met President Putin in Alaska on August 15th. She didn't go, but the public eye didn't show that she was there, but President Trump handed a letter to President Putin, and her letter is, Dear President Putin, every child shares the same quiet dreams in their heart, whether born randomly into a nation's rustic countryside or a magnificent city center. The dream of love, possibility, and safety from danger. As parents, it is our duty to nurture the next generation's hopes. As leaders, the responsibility to sustain our children extends beyond the comfort of a few. Undeniably, we must strive to paint a dignified world for all, so that every soul may wake to peace, so that the future itself is perfectly guarded. A simple yet profound concept, Mr. Putin, as I am sure you agree, is that each generation's descendants begin their lives with a purity, an innocence which stands above geography, government, and ideology. Yet in today's world, some children are forced to carry a quiet laughter, untouched by the darkness around them, a silent defiance against the forces that could potentially claim their future. Mr. Putin, you can single-handedly restore their melodic laughter. In protecting the innocence of these children, you will do more than serve Russia alone. You serve humanity itself. Such a bold idea transcends from all human division, and you, Mr. Putin, are fit to implement this vision with the stroke of a pen today. It is time. Sincerely, Melania Trump. Now, this letter has many meanings, but she is, in her very professional way, is addressing the human and child trafficking. In this letter, in her speech, she talked about the children of Ukraine, but in the letter, there is zero reference to Ukraine. Yet her speech emphasize Ukraine. And again, is she, because, President Melania Trump, she's more than a first lady. She's more than the royal queen. There's something deeper about her. I always wondered if she's part of the Q team. But let's take a look at Ukraine. And there's quite a few Q posts. If you just do a search on Ukraine, quite a few Q posts. But these two stood out. This one references George Soros. Where is George Soros? Ukraine. Who else traveled to Ukraine? Panic is real. All hands on deck. And the next one is on the Clinton Foundation. Quid pro quo. Internal alarm. How to frame and defend. Read carefully. It's a WikiLeaks document. And then fact, Ukraine is the single largest Clinton Foundation donor. Coincidence? Q. Now, Ukraine is not a wealthy country in money, so what were they donating to the Clinton Foundation? Really piece that together and you decide on that. But is Melania Trump pretty much telling the child trafficking world, your days are done, it's over? And remember, in her letter, she was talking about not just Putin with the stroke of a pen. It would not just be for Russia. So is she implying that it would be globally? The media is awestruck by the power of Melania. What first lady would have that kind of power to go ahead and initiate something with a leader of another country? Because remember, they don't dive as deep as you do, as deep as Anons do. You're surfers and Anons for a reason, because you are not afraid to go there and uncover truth that could be very uncomfortable. This is coming from the Faulkner Focus. Rapid Response posted this. This is huge for the First Lady to be speaking with Vladimir Putin. Let me just go ahead and play this clip for you.
Melania Trump's announcement. This is huge for First Lady to be speaking with Vladimir Putin, who, by the way, under the Biden administration could not do a deal with our president and somehow has managed to do this backdoor deal with the First Lady of the United States.
You'd have to go back to Eleanor Roosevelt to find a First Lady who dealt with diplomacy and security issues like this. It's extraordinary. And I think there's a connection between what we just heard with Melania Trump and what's happened in Gaza. What this administration takes every conventional wisdom and breaks it over its knee. The conventional wisdom in the Middle East was you can't make peace unless you first make a Palestinian state. So Donald Trump comes along in 2020 and gets the Abraham Accords. The conventional wisdom in Gaza was first you have to have a ceasefire for a little while and you get some of the hostages back. He turns it around. No, we're going to get all the hostages back first, all at once. And then you're going to have a long ceasefire.
Yep.
And so this is the secret of the success of the administration in diplomacy, is that they just don't accept the conventional wisdoms and they break them over their knees.
Yeah, and Melania Trump's announcement. This is huge.
So if you really take in consideration what's going on with Gaza, it's the children that you see. The children, were these children once trafficked? And again, the children of Gaza, the families of Gaza, they were tortured. It was horrible, the things that happened to them. And they were their voices were not heard. President Trump, Melania Trump stepped up to the plate. When you see videos of the children, or let's say young teenagers, celebrating, they know that they can wake up with that melodic laughter, knowing that their lives are going to be safe now because there is a president and I'm going to just say royalty, the king and queen of the world, let's just say. Some of you may not be comfortable with my saying that, but I'm just going to go ahead and go there because our Lord God in heaven does appoint certain people for certain tasks, that they are celebrating knowing that those days are over. The loss of a brother, a sister, a cousin that just suddenly goes missing. Where did they go, right? And again, is Melania Trump referring to the big global child trafficking rings? The media, even the conservative media that just kind of stays on the surface and stays in the safe zone, they probably are reading your post now. And they're saying this group, this Anon group is onto something very big and we want to figure it out. But they are, of course, instructed because they're a corporation to do they can only say so much or so little. But the significance of her role, we all know Melania's role is a lot bigger than the First Lady. We all know President Trump's role is a lot bigger than the President of the United States. Her royal family, I'm going to just kind of go there. The Romanov dynasty was savagely killed because they refused to incorporate the dirty Rothschild financial system, which they also knew it was going to lead to many other things. Did she get her royal name returned during the week of her visit with President Putin in 2018? There were many signs during that visit, the very first visit that President Trump and Melania Trump had when they went to Russia and had their summit. You can click on here and it takes you to a thread on pretty much the relationship. I'll kind of brief you on it here. The emerald jewelry, it was more of President Putin. It was rumored that he was going to give her a emerald ring, and it would signify the Vladimir tiara, which was, and I'll get to this in a moment here, but the Vladimir tiara that got sold over to the UK monarchy from the Romanov dynasty, and how Lizzie just flaunted it pretty much in the faces of President Trump and Melania Trump, but she flaunted it because it was her way of saying, we got the Rothschild financial system in place all over the world. No. Well, not too long after that, on July 13th, 2018, she had to acquiesce, submit, capitulate to President Trump. And then she was just short of carrying President Trump's golf bags if he were golfing, right? But there is a special relationship, a special bond between President Putin and Melania Trump, and a special relationship. But sometimes they have to make it look like President Putin and President Trump aren't getting along. But remember, if she came from the dynasty, the Romanov dynasty, Eastern Europe, Russia dynasty, guys, she is royal family. Did she get her diamonds back, right? That's where I'm going to go on this podcast, but there's a little bit more. I'll conclude on that in a moment. I just want to kind of cover some other things about the power of President Trump's role. So he had a very strong, short, brief, but strong cabinet meeting, and he highlighted quite a few things in this cabinet meeting. He first started talking about the reducing drug prices by 100 to 500%, and it was the favored nations that he was emphasizing. Is he talking more about referring to a cure? A cure is a one-time deal. You make a treatment to get the cure, right? To receive the cure, and then that's it. And then Or because if you were looking for like ongoing prescription, well, that costs money all the time. So how can something get reduced by 500%? Because it's going to be in the negative, right? So that was very strong. He also said there's no leader in the Democrat Party, maybe AOC, but Pelosi isn't looking good, and he thinks Schumer is going to retire. Again, I try to catch as many highlights as I could. The shutdown, he was warning, it couldn't hurt. It can hurt over time. Cuts will be permanent, only cutting Democrat programs. So the Democrat shutdown is leading to cuts of Democrat programs. And remember what we talked about in 2 podcasts ago about how many things that he'll be doing during the shutdown will be irreversible. President Trump was talking about gasoline to get lower than $2 a gallon. And then he's starting law and order in his country, which is a very strong statement, as many of you know. And President Trump, he's talking about drugs aren't coming in by water. He's talking about the narco drugs coming in from Venezuela. Every boat because every boat that does make it here with their drugs, it costs about 25,000 Americans, meaning lives, that are lost because of the drugs. And then he was saying, we're looking for the people that are funding them, which is Antifa. And then he did say he is going to leave for the Middle East. I thought it was on that day, but apparently it's next week. But remember, every single one of President Trump's global visit in this term in 2025 is all very financial and, let's say, financial and Elon technology related. Kristi Noem, she said, we're purchasing more buildings in Chicago. So that means it's going to be like private property. You step over the line, they have a little bit more authority because it's going to be owned. We're looking for new properties to purchase in Portland. If we have to do it, it's the hard way in If we have to do it the hard way in Portland and Chicago, then we will. They're preparing for what's to come with these thugs. Noam also said anarchists on the streets. Trump says they're threatened. So they are threatened. Noam says Antifa has signs that says we have guillotines. We're going to use them. Well, maybe, I don't know, is it going to be reversed, right? Remember, President Trump uses everything they try to do on us, on him, on MAGA, on the administration, on anything good. He turns it and uses it on them. Rubio about Gaza, don't think any president in modern era have done this or would not want to do what President Trump is doing, which is bringing peace to the entire world. Because of you, referring to Trump, 20 human beings, which are the hostages, emerge from darkness into light. Very, very interesting choice of words. Burgum says Trump is the master class of peace through strength. Trump was saying so many people want to join the military, which is really great. And then RFK was talking about the effects of Tylenol on the level of TDS and how he observed a pregnant associate professor at the Columbia University saying, F Trump, he was shown a TikTok video, F Trump while taking Tylenol while she had a baby in her womb, which is really crazy. And then President Trump hinted water several times during this cabinet meeting, which he mentioned water for the drug boats and water in terms of the glass size of vaccines given to babies. So he was really emphasizing that. Is that watch the water? Watch the water? Water, why is this big event? What does it signify? Why is North Korea out of the news as the world turns? Q, and then Q ends with watch the water. But it makes me wonder, the trip that he's taking next week, is Israel saved for last? He is going to visit the Middle East. And we're seeing many events unfold. Well, it gets a little bit bigger. Get yourself comfy, guys, because this is going to be a longer than usual podcast, please. Sorry, didn't mean to be preachy there. I just wanted to ask you, please get yourself comfortable. Before the cabinet meeting started, President Trump, he signed a proclamation about Columbus Day. So Will, the gentleman that introduces all the different executive orders, he talked about, he introduced the Christopher Columbus Day proclamation. Listen to the words very carefully.
It's a great honor. Okay, and now you have another one that's,
This is like
I think, very non-controversial, frankly, but some people would say it's controversial. Go ahead.
This is like Explorer Day for you, sir. Today we have your Columbus Day proclamation for Monday, which we're signing a bit early. Christopher Columbus obviously discovered the New World in 1492. He was a great Italian explorer. He sailed his 3 ships, the Nina, the Pinta, and the Santa Maria, across the Atlantic Ocean and landed in what's today the Caribbean. But this is a particularly important holiday for Italian Americans who celebrate the legacy of Christopher Columbus and the innovation and explorer zeal that he represented.
In other words, we're calling it Columbus Day.
Isn't this interesting? The timing of this as well, introducing Columbus Day. We all know Monday is Columbus Day, but is he acknowledging this? This is the sign of a new, beautiful world in the process that's coming, that's unfolding, that President Trump going to the Middle East on Monday or Tuesday of next week. He's not giving a definite date, but is he going to be doing something that's going to really revolutionize our entire planet? Because he has resolved 8 wars and a total of 12 conflicts, all in 9 months. That is just how God used President Trump to make this happen. During the influencer roundtable, what he had earlier this week, where he had different journalists, independent journalists that have gone out to riot zones and got beaten up or got chased or arrested, he had a roundtable. Well, this is an interesting clip that President Trump, he had posted. I'm going to just play the first part of this because it is just a vast difference of presidency that we had with another Republican who was whispered in his ear to President Trump being whispered in his ear, and the differences that it made.
Remember the whisper that changed the world? Bush heard war. Trump heard peace, and the world celebrating.
The whisper that changed the world. The whisper that changed the world. That should have been my headline, guys. This is very big, and I truly believe that Jesse hangs out with us as an anonymous name and just likes to hang out with us because he and Greg Gutfeld, I believe they're anons like us, hanging out in 8-Coon, looking at stuff, reading stuff, but that is it, the whisper that changed the world. You can watch that full 9-minute clip. I just wanted to play the first few seconds of it. President Trump, it is very different of our presidency. He's coming in, they're not looking for war opportunities to make money. He's looking at opportunities to give freedom to the world. Doing what God put us on this earth for, not to struggle and not to constantly be in pain or suffer. He wanted us to be in this world so we would thrive and live and just to have that kind of humanity that the world really needs. Everybody needs a little love. Everyone needs a little kindness, right? And that's what we've all striving for. The Nobel Peace Prize was given to a woman named Maria Corina Machado, and she just dedicated her Nobel Peace Prize to President Trump as well as to the people of Venezuela. Why is this big news? Well, we've been seeing the narco boats in Venezuela getting bombed, right? We don't want those drugs in here, in this country. It's affecting a lot of lives. And now here it is. This is putting eyes on Venezuela. Her post is the immense recognition of the struggle of all Venezuelans is an impetus to conclude our task to conquer freedom. We're on the threshold of victory, and today more than ever, we count on President Trump, the people of the United States, and the peoples of Latin America and the democratic nations of the world as our main allies to achieve freedom and democracy. Venezuela will be free. There was a thread going on, and it says that the Nobel Peace Prize was through January 31st of 2025, and then they provided, so that only gave President Trump 11 days to earn it. Well, he should have earned it already, but anyway, this was given to Marina Machado, and she dedicated the prize to President Trump and the people of Venezuela, which is very strong and very powerful. So we'll see. And again, he wasn't interested in getting an award. He didn't. He knew he's doing God's work. He just wants. All he said is he wants to stop the killings, and he wants to bring the hostages home, and he wants peace around the world. That's it. He doesn't want a prize for that. But we, the people, are the ones that are asking for that and hoping for that, right? So please see the bigger picture. If this is something that really just like, we see the bigger picture that President Trump, he's got many aces he's holding. So let's see. Now, part of what's happened this past week, too, is that Qatar, they signed a deal to open up a Qatari Air Force facility in the United States. This is, now, again, they're coming in to help the United States. But doesn't this tell you something else, how global this whole movement is? How big it is about Qatar opening up a military base here in America? Never ever heard that before. Some people the liberals are saying, this is treason, this is treason. Is it? I mean, have you read the trade deal that President Trump has with the Middle East? No, nobody's read the trade deal because it's all there's so many details to it. All we see is one-page summary. There's so many details to it. So they're like, this is treason, this is anything good that President Trump does, they want to denounce it. And I'm telling you, I can't wait until all of those liberals are dealt with in terms of being suspended or whatever happens to their accounts, because they are just downright just rotten evil. I can't stand them. Well, kind of on that note, the RIFs have begun. So this is what Russ Vought, he's the one that authored Project 2025. President Trump met with him last week, and then all of a sudden all these things started to happen. And he wrote, the RIFs have begun. Reduction in force. Okay, that's it. So President Trump, and then Rapid Response posted this. What he's saying is that, and again, you can click on this link and it takes you to those video clips, but it'll be Democrat oriented, because we figure they started this thing. It'll be a lot of people, all because of the Democrats, meaning downsizing, reduction in force, terminations, no longer furloughed, but terminated. Those types of things are happening. Remember, there are 620,000 furloughed federal employees right now. Then President Trump said it's a great deal for what was going on. I mean, what he has done is incredible. What God has done to work with him, and he has carried out the task that God wanted him to do, is incredible. But what President Trump is saying, it's a great deal for Israel, but it's a great deal for everybody. On Monday, the hostages come back. I'll be going to Israel. I'll be speaking at Knesset early on, and then I'll go to Egypt. Everybody wants this deal to happen. How magnificent is this, guys? We are really, truly witnessing history right in front of our eyes. President Trump, during the last two pressers, he has emphasized 28, right? He had talked about 28 years. He talked about 28 years again. Well, it leads to Q28, which is a November 1st Delta, which is just coming up in about 3 weeks. But it has the spy image. And then if you take a look at this, so you have a better understanding of what is really going on, because it appears that there will be another type of war in our own country of our own kind, ICE versus the TDSers. We must be completely engaged, military intelligence over 3-letter agencies. And then I'm just going to jump down to here where it talks about, so it's item number 26. The Army used 1,500 plainclothes agents to watch demonstrations, infiltrate organizations, and spread disinformation. Again, why is that important? Well, just to let you know, if Antifa is out there and all these other thug groups are out there, they're infiltrated with plainclothes army, military. So that's kind of big. And then you could read a little bit more about kind of the way that the military is working. And then this anon had posted that, and it says, always 5 steps ahead, please be true. And then the Q responded, well done, picture being painted. And suddenly the media is losing their freaking minds. They all of a sudden have a new talking point directive about there is no Antifa. I'm just going to play a couple of these because I know you guys don't want to listen to all of them. But just to give you an example, they all repeat that like parrots, the same thing.
There's no Antifa. This is an entirely imaginary organization. There is not an Antifa.
Like, I don't even know what Antifa is. There is no group.
It's not even like far-right groups like the Proud Boys and Oath Keepers. Compared to right-wing extremists, Antifa-linked violence is rare and limited.
It isn't an organization. It is in many ways mythology.
It's not like the Proud Boys.
Oh man, we're going to get more of these crazy types of media people going out there saying, there's no Antifa, they're going to start saying all kinds of crazy stuff, guys. So, just watch them all have their meltdowns. So President Trump and Melania Trump, they did get their diamonds back. Just kind of in brief, this is how I observe this. Let's go back to the Melania comms during the UK coronation visit. She was wearing a yellow dress with a belt and a buckle. More importantly, she was wearing emerald earrings, the same emerald earrings that looks identical to that Vladimir tiara. So here's that beautiful dress. Here's a thread as well that you could take a look at. It's a very short thread, but you can't really see it here. But if you go a little bit here, this is the emerald tiara that Lizzie liked to flaunt, and then she ended up, biting the dust. And did she really get her emeralds back? Look at those earrings. And I'm going to just zoom in a little bit. Look at that earring. Doesn't it look like the droplets for these emeralds? Did she get her diamonds back? And did she get her children back? The children from around the world. Was Melania's speech truly telling the entire world it's safe? The children are now safe. We may see news that they've uncovered a child trafficking ring or uncovered children from time to time, but is this was she talking to the Anon specifically, because it would put to rest what we've been trying to find out and getting some kind of a calm or a message? But is it also is it Melania that she's saying it's a wrap? We've got the children. They're all safe. Now, maybe she's saying now it's time to unleash, right? So and then tying that in with the rebuilding of the Middle East is going to begin. President Trump yesterday at he had another presser at 5 o'clock yesterday afternoon, East Coast time. He was talking about a full Middle East reconstruction. It's not only Gaza, it's going to be the entire Middle East. They're going to be able to live in peace. Little hot spots exist, but they are very easy to put out. Talk about President Trump being in complete control globally. Now, President Trump, remember when he went to the UK back in 2018, this was the visit where we as the world got to see we got to see the Queen truly submit to and acquiesce and capitulate to, not necessarily to President Trump, but to let's say it's going to be President Trump's, the America that he's building, right? So that we did see. You can click on this. It'll take you to that video, the nations that submitted to Trump. President Trump, he hinted about his worldwide role back in April of this year when he talked to one of the reporters from The Atlantic. And he says, I run the country and the world. You can go ahead and AI search, Google search with this. For the first time, I had two things to do: run the country and survive. I had all these crooked guys. And the second time, I run the country and the world. So he's letting us know, first term in 2017, he had to go ahead and run the country, but he had to also get through all the mess with the Comeys, the Rays, all those dirty people he had for just a few days, 23 days, 4 months, whatever, and then he had to let them go, right? Well, now he had to survive his tenure, and then he's now running the world. So President Trump is rolling out the absolute beautiful world for us. Now, God has very big plans for not only President Trump, but also for you. And he's going to need President Trump a little bit more than ever. There are some reports about President Trump that people are a little upset that he took the COVID vaccine, but is he I see it could go in a couple of ways. I don't want to close with that. I'll wait to see the results going through the 48-hour, 72-hour rule. Let me just see how the results are. But remember, President Trump is needed to not just save America, but also the world. Nobody had the chutzpah, the guts, and the wherewithal to do this. And he is getting the guidance from God and whoever God is sending his way to do all of this and to roll it out. And President Trump has been waiting all his life to do this. So just embrace these historical moments that we're witnessing right now. And I just want to thank you all for getting us to this point. It could never have happened had it not been for God using you and God working through President Trump to lead the way. So God bless you. Give yourselves big, big, big surfer hugs. And I will have a show this week, another show either today or tomorrow. And I'll be recording it today, but when it gets published, it will be either today or tomorrow. But remember, we are looking forward to an absolutely different kind of world. So embrace these moments and just take it all in, because one day we're going to look back and say, wow, did we really go through that? Yes. God bless you. Have a beautiful day, afternoon, evening, and I will have a show soon. Aloha.